Welcome back to the show. You were here at the NRB 2014 with Mr. David Payne. How are you?
I'm very well, sir. Thank you.
And his very good accent there. I like it.
Been working on it for a long time.
Tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into the work that you do.
Well, I'm British. I was born and raised a Londoner. I became a Christian when I was 16. I married a fine Christian woman when I was 23. We have 2 sons. We have 3 grandchildren. And although my wife and I lived in Nashville, Tennessee for 17 years, we now live back in England. And I tour the US about 3 times a year with an evening with C.S. Lewis.
Wow. Now tell us about the C.S. Lewis. How did you get started portraying it, first of all? And then what have you done with it since then?
Well, I started actually in Nashville, can you believe? My wife and I were here because I was helping with the marketing of a Christian music line that was British. And in maybe the 2nd or 3rd year that I was here, I came across a bulletin from a theatrical company that presented at the Tennessee Performing Arts Center, and this bulletin had a little audition announcement, and it said auditions for Shadowlands, which is the play about C.S. Lewis and his American wife. It said auditions for Shadowlands, British accents are help. And I thought, well, I've not been on stage before, but I do have a British accent. Had one for a
And you were acting before this, or?
No.
You just showed up?
No, but I did have a British accent, and I'd had one for a long time. So I called the number, and I said, look, I haven't been on stage before, but I do have a British accent, and I'm happy to come along, but, you know, as I say, as I haven't been on the stage, am I wasting my time? And I'm probably wasting your time. And the lady said, no, come along. It's community theatre. That means it's open to everybody, and so I went along. I was hoping that I might get a small part, maybe one of the Oxford tutors that are feature in the play, and I won the lead role, C.S. Lewis. So I was given the lead role.
That's pretty good for not having any experience.
Yeah.
Were you the only guy with an accent to show up?
Well, I probably was the only British guy to show up, but there were other actors there that could do a good British accent.
But they weren't natural?
But I don't know. I couldn't say. I knew I was a natural British accent.
Whether I was the authentic thing.
Whether I was the natural actor, that was for them to. They decided that I probably could pull it off, and we did. We did a 2-week run at the Tennessee Performing Arts Center. And the last weekend sold out. And as a result of that, I started getting interested in Lewis. And so I developed a one-man play, which eventually became an evening with C.S. Lewis, and that's what I do now.
Okay, now where can they see this evening C.S. Lewis? Where do you take this?
Well, it's mainly we do it in theatres now. It depends where a tour is set. Sometimes it's on the West Coast, sometimes East Coast, sometimes Midwest. But because I'm in England, I only tour twice, 2 or 3 times a year. We have a 6-week run coming up in Chicago in 2015 in a theatre in Arlington Heights, and we'll be doing, I think it's 26 performances.
Really? That's a lot.
Oh, it is, yes. We will be doing a 4-week run off Broadway in New York in 2015, and we expect to be doing a short run off-Broadway run in the fall of this year.
Wow.
So fairly busy. Before I tended to do tours where I go to one theatre, then move on to the next theatre,
Yeah.
But, you know, for just from the point of view of the stress on the body, to be able to be in one place and do a longer run is really very satisfying.
Oh, I bet.
So as I say, that's more the plan. We may be doing a short run in LA this year.
Well, that's very interesting on that. Now, is C.S. Lewis, how's he received around the world? And is there a particular spot that people receive him more?
Well, America, he's received very well.
Okay.
Very highly respected in America. They say he's one of the most quoted men in the American pulpit. So he has a high visibility here, which is why I can do the play.
Okay.
I mean, nobody's heard of David Payne,
or David Yennis.
but they have heard of C.S. Lewis, and so, you know, we have lots of sellout shows, and even though they don't know me as a well-known actor per se, they do know C.S. Lewis. So
now, how well or how good is your C.S. Lewis?
You're asking the guy that does it, but I'd say it's very good.
Okay.
I would say that. I can only, in a way, I wouldn't do the show if I wasn't good.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it. But the perception is, I might think I'm good. That doesn't count. What counts is the audience.
Absolutely.
And the most common reaction when I meet my audience after the show, the most common reaction in the lobby, of course, is you can't meet them all because when you have 1,000 people turn up, you can't say hello to everybody.
That's true.
But the most common reaction is this: I think I've just met C.S. Lewis, or I feel as though I've just spent an evening with C.S. Lewis.
Wow.
And when people come up and say to me and thank me for the books I've written, which of course I didn't, C.S. Lewis wrote the books, what that means is they believed. And that's when you know you are communicating that you're portraying C.S. Lewis.
Amen.
So it's got nothing to do, although I do think I'm very comfortable with my performance. And if C.S. Lewis was ever to decide to come back from heaven for a day to take in one of my shows, and somebody told me, oh, by the way, the real C.S. Lewis is going to be in the audience tonight, I wouldn't be worried.
Amen. Tell everybody your website or information, how they can find you.
They can get me on my website davidpaynedrama.com. That's P-A-Y-N-E, davidpaynedrama.com. And that will give them my general drama, because I do other dramas apart from C.S. Lewis, but mostly C.S. Lewis. And that will lead them to the C.S. Lewis webpage, an Evening with C.S. Lewis webpage. And on that, you can find out what my schedule is. So davidpaynedrama.com, and that leads you to what you need to know.
Amen. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
We're short, but we give a very good interview, hopefully.
Okay.
I hope you're blessed. And we'll be back with another great guest.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.